I just finished my first quarter in Stanford's Graduate Aerospace Engineering Department, and honestly, it was nothing like what I expected. I feel like Stanford kind of finessed their grad students to be on campus when not every department handled things the same way. I was pushed harder than I ever was before mentally in terms of my feelings of isolation and overwhelming stress for pretty much the entire quarter. So yeah, there were a lot of things that happened this quarter, and in this video I'm going to talk a lot of what I can talk about. And I want to be as candid as possible, so you're not going to see any sugarcoating here. And hopefully by expressing my experiences and feelings, I'll be able to help you feel like you're not alone in your concerns. Lastly, I wanted to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. There was absolutely no real reason why I had to be on campus this semester, and I don't think I'll ever get over this fact. When we were about to register for classes, they kept reiterating to us that graduate students will have more or less a normal experience with undergrads not being on campus. They even made it so that you had to sign a petition and certify that COVID-19 has directly affected you to be able to be off campus. That being said, once I signed a year-long lease for my apartment in Palo Alto, shipped my stuff, and bought new furniture, I realized that what Stanford said was completely wrong. I can only speak for the aerospace department here, but all of our classes were online and there was not one aspect of our graduate studies that was in person this quarter. By all means, I have nothing against the decision to go completely online because it was probably the right thing to do. But to basically force us to be in one of the most expensive places in the country when we could have just zoomed in from any location around the world just doesn't make sense to me. And it leaves kind of a bad taste in my mouth. It was a successful finesse on Stanford's part, but ultimately I could have saved tens of thousands of dollars living almost anywhere else during this quarter. I'm someone who likes to keep a pretty small inner circle of friends, so when I came here to Stanford, I thought I would be pretty content not trying to really make new friends, but just kind of live in my apartment. Having lived in a fraternity house at MIT and having had a roommate in Sebastian since 2016, I completely underestimated how the complete isolation would affect me mentally. My apartment is self-contained. I get all of my food delivered to me and I work out in my patio area. So there are definitely days at a time where I don't step foot outside of my apartment and I don't interact with a single person. And this is where I messed up. Even if through socially distant small gatherings, I could have had some people interaction. Even through virtual get-togethers, I could have met new friends. Without the outlets of organized basketball or even working out in the gym with people around, my feelings of isolation only magnified. And it was in those states of complete isolation where overwhelming feelings of stress and pressure just started to weigh on me. To be completely honest, this quarter got to be so much at points that I almost took a leave of absence from Stanford on multiple occasions. I'll get a little more into this later on in the video. Before I get into the reasons why I get overwhelmed, which were my lofty outside goals and responsibilities, I wanted to stress how important it is to have small goals that you can accomplish in order to give yourself that feeling that you're making progress, even in a seemingly stagnant environment. For me, I provide myself some healthy creative outlets through cultivating new creative skills, whether it's learning new UI and UX design techniques or picking up piano again. Both of which can be done through the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics ranging from illustration and design to freelancing and entrepreneurship. They make sure to have classes for all experience levels, which I personally really appreciate. Also, most classes are less than an hour total and they're made up of short lessons that fit into my schedule. I recommend productivity classes in order to help you stay focused, and also any classes that get you acclimated with professional creative tools like Photoshop or Premiere Pro. I personally am really interested in the class DIY Product Photography, Style and Shoot Creative Stills by the photographers of Mango Street Lab, Rachel and Daniel. Everything is tailored for efficient learning, so there's no ads, and new premium classes are launching all the time. This makes it really easy to stay focused and actually work on new skills. And this is all for less than $10 a month with an annual subscription, so I cannot genuinely recommend Skillshare enough. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Trust me, you won't regret it. I want to be clear that Stanford alone did not make me feel constantly overwhelmed or pressured. Actually, the teacher's assistants in all my classes were very kind and accommodating. We got extensions on particularly difficult assignments and got midterms moved out of the way of the election, so I would say most of the feelings I felt throughout this quarter came from within me. I function by setting lofty goals and then achieving many things along the way of getting those goals. I put a lot of responsibility on myself to take care of the people I love around me. When I set lofty goals like getting into Stanford or reaching 100,000 subscribers on YouTube or becoming a CEO of a successful company, a lot of that adds up into a big plate of responsibility. And sometimes life hits all at once, and so there are those weeks that I thought there was no way I would get everything I needed to get done in time. My days would consist of having Deuce drone meetings in the morning, doing problem sets for the rest of the day, and if I was making a video that week, that's what I spent my weekend doing. And on top of all of this, I got the ball rolling on an extremely exciting project that I can't wait to show you guys. But this all means that there isn't really a moment in the day where I'm not working on something. And that didn't really make me feel the best. But alas, I'm here. I'm done with this quarter, and everything went okay. I'm doing just fine. And right now I'm in a good place moving forward where I'm just excited to see what the future holds. I always set really high bars for myself. I think on the mindset where if you shoot for the stars and you fail, you'll still end up on the moon, which is pretty good. So I make sure to really push myself to maximize my potential in every aspect of my life, whether as a YouTuber, entrepreneur, or engineer. I've always done this, but when coupled with the feelings of isolation and just bringing all this responsibility onto my plate, I should have definitely cut myself some more slack. We're going through a global pandemic where everything we're experiencing is anything but normal. But for some reason, I expected myself to function on the same top tier level that I'm used to during normal times. And that simply wasn't fair to myself. During these times, we have to take especially great care of ourselves and the people that we truly care about to make sure that we're still cultivating those connections. We can't go to our usual parties or basketball pickup games or even larger family get-togethers. So we need to try extra hard to find other ways to feel connected. And it's also important to understand that it's okay to not be as productive as you usually are during non-pandemic times. The classes this quarter at Stanford were pretty much what I expected for online classes. The fact that they were all recorded gave little incentive for students to watch the lectures or problem sessions live, while the professors really didn't reduce the rigor at all. I will say that I really do much prefer the semester style of MIT teaching versus the quarter style of Stanford teaching because it seemed like the amount of information taught didn't really change, but now you had to consume all of this information in a month's less time. In terms of the classes I took, these were Fundamentals of Control Design, Classical Dynamics, and Fundamentals of Compressible Flow. I was honestly disappointed by the amount of core aerospace subjects I had to take even when a lot of the concepts taught in these classes took very small steps forward from the undergrad aerospace classes I took at MIT. In general, taking online classes at a school like Stanford or MIT will just pale in comparison to the actual in-person classes, but given the circumstances, I really can't complain. All of the teaching staff did a great job, and they obviously put a lot of effort into making sure the students were accommodated. I'm actually going to leave the things that I was going to talk about during this section for another video because I realized just how much I wanted to talk about in this section. I'm the king of overthinking every scenario and stressing myself out to the point where I get migraines, so I think I'll be able to help others out in this respect. So stay tuned for that upcoming video. I know this video is a bit of a different vibe than my normal videos, but I thought during a time like this, it was important as ever to be as candid as possible to my viewers. Right now, life is especially tough, so it's especially important right now to cut yourself some slack. This too shall pass, and sooner rather than later, we'll begin to acclimate to new societal norms. In the meantime, go learn a new creative skill through a platform like Skillshare, or just set up some virtual gatherings with people that you've been meaning to catch up with for a while now. It's important to continue to stay connected to the world because it's our collective strength that will get us through these tough times. As for Stanford, I still feel like I got finessed, but I'm also grateful that I got to experience Palo Alto during this time. It's definitely seeming like a place that I'll consider living in the future, but I definitely didn't have to pay those rent prices now in my life. I also may have taken my last class at Stanford because there are so many other things that I hope to push forward with my time that I simply can't with the added work and pressure of school. But no final decision has been made in that respect either. That's all I had to talk about today. Hopefully this video helped you keep things in perspective and hopefully keeps you from being too down on yourself. Make sure to follow my Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, and also make sure to subscribe to this channel for some new quality content. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.